Hey, what's going on, everyone? Patty's Luck here, and I'm going to come at you with another one of my favorite hunter builds. This time we're talking Strand. There are a lot of really good endgame content builds out there, and this Strand one could be one of them, but the big one about it is that it's easy to put together and it's actually pretty fun. We're a pretty small channel, we're growing, so if you like what you see, it would support the channel if you hit the subscribe button, notification bell, or even just drop some comments down below on what you think about the builds. I'm going to continue dropping more videos, continuing the Hunter series right now, and then I'll transition over to Warlock and Titans down the road. But for now, let's get started. This particular build focuses on Whirling Maelstrom and also using Threadlings. For my armor piece, I decided to go with the Foetracer exotic helmet. The exotic helmet provides Relentless Tracker, where damaging powerful combatants or guardians, in this case we're just focusing on enemy adds, with an ability grants you a temporary bonus to the weapon damage that matches your subclass. In this case we're using Strand. Matching the damage type for your subclass creates an elemental pickup. In this case we're talking Tangles. Tangles that we're going to use for Whirling Maelstrom. When it comes to armor mods, I prefer to use Strand Surge weapon mods on my legs, and then Strand Siphon in the helmet. Everything else is going to be gamer preference. When it comes to weapons, I believe there are two top tier weapons out there to use for this build. One is Final Warning, the second is Wishkeeper. There are a lot of gamers out there that'll tell you that Final Warning may be the best Strand weapon for any build, especially right now it's anti-barrier this season. It has the perk Pick Your Poison, where hip-firing projectiles will track and mark targets for extra damage, where aiming projectiles has greater increased velocity and deals extra critical hit damage. However, my favorite for this build is going to be the Wishkeeper bow with the intrinsic trait Snare Weaver, where precision hits and final blows build energy towards a Snare Weaver arrow that could be fired from the hip and on impact creates a pattern of traps that suspends targets. With the additional perk Skillbond Slayer, suspended targets receive additional damage. I also enjoy the perk Hatchling Rift, where precision final blows or rapidly defeating targets with this weapon spawn threadlings at the target's location. So again, we're building a lot of threadlings while we're out there. For me personally, the build focuses around the Wishkeeper bow. So your energy and power weapons are basically they're your preference of what you want to use. However, for this particular build, I do like to use the semi-octane rocket launcher with the hatchling perk. For the build itself, Silkstrike is the only super ability. For the abilities, I do prefer to keep using marksmanship dodge, but it's really your preference. Triple jump is also what I prefer, but again, that doesn't matter. You can use what jump you want. Threaded Spike is still the only power melee that the Hunter Strand build has. And for the grenades, I do prefer Threadling Grenades. Once again, because this build is focused around creating threadlings. For the aspect, we're going to use Whirling Maelstrom, where destroying a tangle creates that spinning strand orb that seeks out and damages enemy targets and emits unraveling projectiles when defeating them. For the other aspect, I use Threaded Specter, where using dodge leaves behind that decoy. The decoy draws attention of nearby combatants, and when the decoy is destroyed, it detonates, leaving threadlings and which seek out attacking nearby enemies. For the fragments, we're using Thread of Rebirth, where strand weapon final blows have a chance to create threadlings. We're going to use the Thread of Transmutation, while we have Woven Mail, weapon final blows create Tangle. Thread of Propagation. Powered melee final blows grant your strand weapon unraveling rounds. And then the Thread of Evolution, where threadlings travel further and deal additional damage. For the remainder of Season of the Wish, the current artifact also has Unraveling Orbs, where picking up an Orb of Power grants strand weapon unraveling rounds. There's also Horde Shuttle, where damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns in more threadlings. There's also Dragon Bite, where breaking an enemy shield with a strand weapon has a chance to suspend them. So as you can see, the build is centered around creating as many Threadlings as you can with precision hits, and it also creates tangles, which you can use with Whirling Maelstrom. This build creates a lot of tangles that you can use to clear out big groups of enemies. There are a lot of great Strand builds out there. This one is just easy to put together, and it's really fun for any level of player to use. As you get comfortable with the different mechanics within your Strand, you'll be able to adjust this for any endgame content you want down the road. Well, that's all I have for this build. Appreciate you watching, and again, if you want to help support the growth of the channel, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, drop some comments down below on the different Strand builds that you have. Tell us what you think about the channel. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Stay lucky, gamers.